Okay, we are live and we are doing some foundation paper piecing, which I have done half of a time and Ashley has done one of a time. So we are experts.
Expert level 1000.
Yep. So we all have the same pattern. Except for Ashley. This is the pattern that Ashley has already done. I guess Ashley also is half a time because it was two of you making this together.
Yes.
I think Ashley has done 2 1/2 times.
Oh, right. Yes, thank you. So, yes, Ashley is a full one. Which means that she's got something infinitely more complicated in front of her. But we're just gonna go through this and see how we do. So the most important pieces in this kit. Oh, look at Ashley's. I think it came out lovely.
Oh, thank you.
That looks really good.
I said many swears.
Yes, absolutely. It is the way. Yeah, so these, you should have 3 pieces that look like this. I've already cut up 2 of them, and I've done a little bit of work ahead. I've already cut up 2 of them, though. I left the third one for me to cut with you guys. So the first thing when you're cutting these, just an explanation of the pieces. Let me turn it and let me zoom. And by zoom, I mean lower my camera. Okay. So this is a legit kit. And apparently through my Discord.
That is so cool looking.
Right?
Oh my
Ashley,
God,
where's
this
this
is
piece?
beautiful.
This is the bottom neck. Is that what that is? No. What is this piece? Is that piece?
I think it is this piece. I think it's this whole seam. I think it's this.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's this backwards. You're going to have an issue when you guys are like trying to visualize these things because this is actually the backside of the pattern. And as much as that like makes sense on a brain level, when you're like trying to conceptualize things, it doesn't. Oh, that's right. They have the 2 images to explain that.
Is that why they have these 2 images, like one and their mirror image? Because one's the backside, one's the finish.
Yeah, that's exactly why. So I have heard from my quilt Discord that there is something jacked up that legit kits does. That they don't consider it proper foundation paper piecing. But we don't know any better. So this is what we're doing. And you have now possessed patterns that are foundation paper piecing.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so like when you're doing those, you can probably say whether legit kits is legit or not.
In fact, I can even go grab them and look at like their basic instructions because I did flip through them yesterday.
Oh, they have instructions. Yeah, absolutely. Go get those instructions because we want all the instructions we can.
For real. I go grab them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alicia, look at the madness on this.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That is so insane. And you know, the crazy thing, this is just how like legit kits is. The crazy thing is that like the chaos part isn't even the spot that I thought was going to be the chaos part. Like I was not expecting the chaos to be in the water. I was expecting the chaos to be the flower, but actually the lotus itself looks simple by comparison to the water.
Well, the lily, a lot of the text is in black, so it's very small and hard to see. So I still think it is
got it.
like a very tiny text size. here.
Okay, so it's just more obvious that the water is chaos.
So
Yeah.
all of it's chaos. Got
Yeah,
it.
all of it is in fact chaos.
I wanted like an easy kit, like a 1-dot kit, but I couldn't find a small 1-dot kit. Like to get a 1-dot kit, I would have had to just buy a full quilt for like $400. And I was like, this is on sale for $90.
Yeah.
But it's 3 dots, but I do like this one, so here I am.
Just for clarification, Chris, the dot is the rating system for difficulty.
I gathered that.
Okay.
I have Scroll Legit Kids website because their quilts are very pretty.
Yeah.
And I have told Mike that probably for like Christmas or something, he should get me one of the kits.
Ooh.
I have not specified which one. I have not thought about it that hard.
So I will say, based on what I have heard in my quilt Discord, Legit Kits advertises that it's cheaper to get the fabric through them, but a couple of people in the group have actually done it both ways and found that it is cheaper to buy the fabric yourself. You just gotta like,
it's not cheaper on your time.
right? Exactly. You just have the energy to do that.
Yeah, I'll probably just have Mike just get the full fabric because
That's fair.
easy.
That's fair.
Mhm.
So my stack of printed pattern thingies that I've downloaded.
And you terrify me.
I terrify a lot of people.
This is fair.
You're terrified me kind of like Kimberly Idmo was yesterday.
Like what?
So Kimberly Idmo, she's the block of the month we did last year. That was her design.
She's great.
Oh,
So I follow her on Instagram just because that's how it happened. She has cute cats.
Mhm.
okay.
And she moves. God, she moves a lot. But she just moved 2 years ago. She moved to Australia, and then she just moved back to, like, Colorado.
Oh.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I guess when like she had movers pack her home in Australia, and she wasn't there for it.
Oh no, not
Oh,
okay.
she's a military wife. Is he active military?
I'm gonna say he's not traditionally enlisted at this point.
Yes.
I think he's some type of like consultant.
Oh,
wow.
got it. Okay.
that.
can also
Okay,
put them
gotcha.
moving a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But so she was unpacking her sewing room and her fabric stash. I guess when she packs it, she has a particular way she does it, so she knows where everything is, and they didn't do that because how would they know? And so they just threw it in things. So she like had her fabric stash just like piled, and I was scared. There's so much fabric. This woman has so much. This woman has so much fabric.
I want to see it.
Go to her Instagram.
I'm
She's got a photo of it.
I'm
So,
looking at it right now. There's her cat. The picture is more her. Oh yeah, that's definitely her kind of a scrunchy face right there. There we go. I thought I should follow her on TikTok, and then I was like, no, I've got that algorithm that I have to stress about constantly. Yeah.
It's so
Yeah, that's it. It's so much.
But like, honestly, if you're a professional quilter, that is absolutely what your staff is.
just
It's just-
everything is odd.
I guess it's just scary that it's still that much when considering how often she has to move.
Yeah.
And there's so much of this fabric that she doesn't have a little bit of. She's got like 10
Bolts.
yards of it.
Of it.
Like,
Bolts.
I
If you look in the background of that photo, you can see into the closet, and there are bolts of fabric on that shelf.
Yep.
Oh my god, they're wrapped up in
You
plastic.
gotta think of it as not being a personal move, but like actually moving your business.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Astonishing.
Yeah. Also, in regards to the bolts, I also just ordered a new bolt of fusible fleece yesterday.
That's
I am-
different.
No.
I'm okay with bolts of stuffing,
Oh, look at that.
right?
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
Imo, cutie meow.
So most of my paper piecing is in this little quilted gnomes. It's all Christmas products with gnomes.
I'm into that.
Are you my mother?
Man,
You
I
know,
want you to lead the Sunday side project in the future and teach us to make that stuff. Let's do it.
heck yeah, let's do that. And also, I actually got called out. Allie drove my minivan because she's got her license now, and my minivan is her main transport. And they're hanging out with their uncles, and they're like, "Your mom is so unafraid to be a mom. She drives a whole minivan." And I'm like,
Dan.
And you're just like, know what I'm saying?
I just gotta own it. So yeah, like this has like the paper piecing little, and these look much less scary, by the way.
Oh, those are so chill. Look at that. Wow, that's what we should be doing now.
Like
Wow.
super chill.
That's not us, Ashley, and you know it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I know.
will
We start
say,
hard so that these easy projects are no big deal.
you guys did see the pattern that Ashley and I had chunks of at the actual class, right?
The sailboat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that one, those were the easiest pieces imaginable. So like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But this is what those fun little easy pieces make.
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah,
No.
those are easy pieces. So,
yeah.
and again, like what we're doing now is easy in comparison to what Ashley's got in front of her. So it is what it is. Anyways,
Varying
so back
degrees.
to the piece. So just to explain some stuff that is going on with this piece. Each of these segments is, of course, a piece of fabric, and the letters in them says what color that piece is. So if you were to be using Kona, and I know that you guys are just doing scrap fabric right now, but if you were to be using the Kona fabrics, these are all pre-designated terms by Kona. So BB is pimento, and that is the piece that is going to be going right here. So
That's number 2, right? Like the little section 2.
Yep, that's number 2 on there. The other thing, if you are like gonna like buy legit kits, you can actually save this fabric to potentially either make additional. Usually, you end up with like a ton of fabric left over. I've been told. I've heard people say that you can actually almost get 2 quilts out of the fabric you get. And then because the codes are standardized, you can always buy more of it to do it again if you need it, or, you know, if you end up with like a big stash of this and then you want to buy other patterns, then you potentially can use what you already have. So that's just something to keep in mind with this fabric. And then the numbers on it are going to be the actual piecing numbers. So you're going to start with connecting 1 and 2, and then obviously 2 to 3, blah, 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 blah. So that is what's going on there. And then the gray area here is the seam allowance. So that is a 1/4 inch. Now, when we are cutting these, we can go ahead. We want to cut them wide. So this one's already done, and I cut this properly. I didn't cut my first set properly. You want to cut it wide like that, and then I did not actually trim off. Once you actually have the assembled piece, you'll trim off that extra bit, but I did not on this. So this piece I know is like fully covered, and you'll see when you're actually piecing these, but you want that extra space there because it's going to be really hard to line up your pieces exactly. So having this extra space means that you've got that extra 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch of wiggle room on it. So if it doesn't perfectly fit up to it, it is okay. I know I've got, where is it here? One of them did not quite fit up properly. Oh yeah, this guy right here. It's hard to tell, but like when I was stitching it, thankfully because of where it is, it's not a big deal. But you could see here where like I tried to fit it up and I just missed the mark some. So like that's actual, you know, this piece doesn't actually cover the entire thing. Thankfully it is that point though, so it doesn't matter. So when you're cutting them, I wouldn't be so neurotic to use a ruler to like measure an extra 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and use scissors on it and just cut it a little bit wide.
I know I'm jumping ahead with this question, but I would like to know. I know for this class that y'all bought that absolutely tiny rotary tool.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
No.
Okay. I like that answer.
If you if you have a little one and it's comfortable for this project specifically, you will just be making lots of little teeny short straight lines. And if you have it, that's great, because like my pizza cutter is definitely like overkill. It's heavy, it's big for the application, but you don't need a teeny one. You don't.
Now, I will say the one thing that I do have an issue with, which was going to be for like not having the fancy tools. I have the add a quarter ruler, and I have found that to be completely useless. I don't understand how that is any better than using a regular ruler. But Ashley there has the add a quarter plus.
Oh, yeah.
Plus is that wedge. You see how it's tapered on the back side of it.
Here, it's tapered on this edge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So instead of being that like 1/16 of an inch thick or whatever it is, it's tapered to pretty much nothing. That actually is super helpful. And I'm trying to figure out like a supply that I have that is comparable to that, and I have not been able to find anything. So I'm using this guy just because it is super, super thin. It happens to be like the thinnest piece of anything that I've got. Because like once you get the pieces cut out, what you need to do is fold it on every single one of these dark lines right there. That is super critical, and you want it to be like a really clean crease. So I have been using this guy and just kind of running my nail underneath it to get a good crease there, and then flipping it and running this guy back over it. And basically what that is going to do is when I go to cut this piece out, when I go to cut out this OK piece, then I will, this is going to be the size that I need to cut that piece to, plus the 1/4 inch that needs to go right here, which that'll make a little bit more sense later. But like you definitely need this fold here for when you're using this as a guideline to cut from.
Yes.
So you're going to fold on all of the lines. And that is where I'm having this issue that I was talking about with Ashley at the beginning. So there are 2 pieces. I've already stitched the other one together, but there are 2 pieces that look like this, where if you see here, these 2 pieces, 1 and 2, that fold doesn't go all the way across. It dead ends on this guy. And I don't understand how you're supposed to do that, both from like the folding perspective, because you'd end up like folding all the way across. And you'll see like it's kind of jank when you're trying to cut these pieces. I definitely don't want this other like weird rando flap that I'm fighting with. And then, as Ashley said, this also is going to cause a problem when we're stitching, because you gotta like dead end your stitch right there.
I'm trying to figure out where this piece goes, and I can't see it on, but I think it's in this bullshit.
It is D7H. Do you have the? Oh no, you don't have that actual.
No, I cut every single thing to bits in Canton. And
oh Lord, where is it? There we go. Okay, so that is the pattern. D7H is right here. It's neck.
It's neck?
Yeah. Right? Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this backwards. This is the back side. It's beak. Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this little piece of sky that's fucked up. That I need to like re-sew this entire little chunk.
Oh, yeah. Now
That's
we know
that
why
little
it's all
nugget.
fucked up.
This little nugget right here. That's this.
Yeah. Yeah, that little bullshit nugget right there.
Oh, I
Okay.
see. Okay, now I see what that is in the pattern.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Looks
So,
like this on the back. Ah.
there was also D7B, which is here.
Also fake.
That had that same issue with it. And where is that?
Yeah, and that's way up at the neck at the top.
Is that this?
Oh yeah, you know, I actually have the fabric right here. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this piece did that same thing. And what I ended up doing with this was I just cut it into 2 smaller pieces. Like, I don't understand why they would decide that, like, this particular unit, these 2 particular units should stay together like this instead of dividing them, when that's kind of the whole function of paper piecing, is that we make smaller units to ultimately put together into a full unit. Like, these are just 2 smaller units. So these are, I just cut this one in half. This was D7B. I'm going to do the exact same thing with D7H, but I'm going to be smarter about it this time. And this is where I'm going to shadow box it. You can also, of course, just print up 2 copies of this piece.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like plugging my printer in.
Mine's at the office. So
Also, if I haven't said this before, you want to use the cheapest paper possible. This stuff is that like almost newsprinty stuff. Obviously, like, don't go out of your way to buy newsprint, but if you've got the like really, really shitty thin copy paper, that's exactly what you want. The thinner the paper, the better.
So just 2 random questions.
Mhm.
Or just a question so I can ask a question. So these individual pieces, the way that this is done, after you like cut them to these tiny, tiny shapes, you are in fact stitching them all together.
Yes.
on the paper.
Yeah, just like I did here. So like this, again, these were 2 separate pieces. I made this piece, and then I made this piece, and then I stitched them together. Now, usually there would be like more of this seam allowance print here, again, because I did jury rig this, but yeah, we will stitch them all together, and then this guy will connect to, where did that piece go? I've been throwing pieces around, so here we are. Are you? Oh, yeah. So you'll connect. How do you connect?
What are you looking for?
So then my follow-up question, and I guess this is just like a more of a theoretical question, but Ashley might be able to contribute something to this if she remembers this particular interaction, because she was there with me for this. But there was remember that one time, Ashley, we did the sew-in at Cottontail?
Yeah.
There was a lady we talked to there who was doing paper piecing.
I thought she was doing applique.
I guess she was almost doing it more in an applique. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember the fine details. But I remember she was doing, like, I think it was a pineapple, honestly.
Yeah.
And the way she was doing it is she took fabric, she ironed heat and bond to it, and then laid it against something, cut individual shapes, and then used like a baking silicone mat and ironed it all together.
Yes.
And then was going to just like quilt over it later.
Yeah, I think she was doing a fancy free form of applique where she was like, because she had really intricate like combinations of colors and patterns and shapes made out of like tons of fabrics and all finicky pieces. And so I think she was ironing through the fabric on top of the silpat to like make a unit, and then she could use that sort of intermediary step to like check like was that shape or color what she really wanted, and then she would like iron that into her piece at the end. I think she was doing applique. I think that was her specific.
But honestly, I realized obviously it would be a fuck ton of heat and bond for something of like a regular size for paper piecing, but like in theory, you could do that with this, right? You could just heat and bond all these pieces together.
Yeah.
And then just quilt the whole thing.
Yeah, this would be just like doing applique.
Okay.
This is, I feel like I've said this before, but like every time in my guild, when somebody is like, how would I make this super complex paper piecing pattern? I'm like, why don't you just applique? But yeah, that is, I honestly don't know the name of the technique, but I've pointed that out to you guys. It probably wouldn't have been this past year because I don't remember seeing it this past year, but 2 years ago at Quilt Expo, there is this fox that is made out of flowers that is done with that technique. Oh, and Ashley, we saw some this time around. It was up at the front and it was hanging on like the front, like it was just like a display thing that was up by that shop where we bought the fabric at, where I remember it was like rustic stuff. It was like a wheelbarrow and stuff.
I remember. That looks so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's just a different technique. I don't know, honestly, what that is called.
Oh.
But,
yeah.
I feel like it's actually like, they don't even consider it applique. It's more of like an art quilt form.
Yeah.
She used some word for it. I just don't remember what it was.
Alicia. I finally got far enough back in the pattern that I found my version of your paper. And like, this makes me want to dye a little less now that it's like broken down into like easy units. I'm like, okay, cool. I could do like one of these or 2 of these a week and maybe not dye.
that page specifically, none of those look terrible.
Oh no! Look how small.
Look at a little bit more terrible.
Look at this. This one tiny sliver. Those seams are so close together.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So this is just the little diagram that I made just of these 2 sections right here. That guy. So I am going to cut both of these with that actual seam allowance on it, so that I just know that is. I'll know that it's been addressed here. And actually, I'm going to cut them a little wide, just like everything else. And then I am going to. Do I have anything here that is not? Yes. Okay. I need to mark this with something other than a friction pen because I will be ironing on this a bunch. So I know for a fact that like this section of this is not actual anything for me to worry about because I've got a separate piece for it. Now, if you guys want to try to make this as a single unit, absolutely do it. Like there's nothing in the directions saying that this is what we're supposed to do. I just don't know how else to do this. And I am going to just cut out this page so that I don't have some wonky extra bits floating around, so I don't lose these guys. And then we'll hop to the next step. I'm not going to fold every single one of these because you guys know how to fold fabric or fold paper. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to actually get these marked correctly. Yeah, and I hope that is okay right there. What piece are you?
I cut out a chunk of the water lily, and I'm gonna start sifting through the fabric for some with, some pin, some C, some db, and some la. Bet it's wisteria, some type of purple, lavender, some type of DB. Who knows? Dark blue.
Okay.
All right, fine.
And then in these really intricate patterns, you are going to have some pieces where it's just a single, like this D7J is literally just one block of the same fabric. It is what it is.
A release from suffering, a single piece.
Right. Exactly. Well, that piece was easy.
It was like you were complaining. And I'm like, that sounds delightful. I don't know what she's going on about.
That's like here, take a deep breath for a moment.
You know, it's that weird uncomfortableness of like, why does it this? What?
Y'all, because I am 30, but also myself, extreme teenager moment, allow me.
Very 69. A.
Nice.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say one of my TikToks is stuck on 69 views right now, and every time I pull up that screen, I have a little laugh.
Thank God, it's not just me. I'm in my 40s and I still laugh at that shit.
Yeah.
And now my teenagers think I'm cringy because I laugh at that shit.
Right.
I know I'm cringy.
Don't worry, they'll get cringy too.
Right? Their time is coming.
I mean, they already are. They just don't recognize it.
Era comes
How
for
many
us
cringy
all.
things have your kids said over the years?
My favorite, and it's live, Ashley. I'm not wearing any panties. She was 3.
Nice.
She was 3. But it's been a really funny this last week because Sean quoted her while we were discussing the fact that Lily was not wearing any because she had an accident and I didn't have any extras. And as Sean is quoting Ashley, he says, I'm not wearing any panties. Lily turns around so excited. I'm not wearing any either.
Oh my God.
So then she thought her and her daddy were matching.
Oh.
So yeah, we embrace the cringe over here.
Perfect. Okay, so I am going to work on this piece. I saved this one because it was super easy, and I was like, this will be a good one for me to just like demo the full way. So it's already cut. This was from the first page when I forgot that I should have been saving that extra, giving it that extra wide seam allowance on it. That's okay. No big deal. But it's already folded. And I have also, Ashley, I 100% laugh every time I see this one.
Kentucky. Okay, no, lubricant. I got there.
KY jelly.
It is what we do.
You guys make me feel so much better about myself.
It does also happen to be like the primary fabric in this pattern. It's the like
You
color.
love that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go iron this really quickly because because I've got this big crease in it, and I was trying to work around it, but this piece I'm going to end up cutting right into that. I mean, don't look at me like that. Why are you looking at me like that?
Maybe he's judging you like my kids judge me.
Isn't that what kids are for?
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, while I was criticizing them for criticizing me, they told me that's why there's protection.
Whoa! Trying to curse your own existence is a very high level move.
Right?
Very Gen Z move right there.
Maybe.
We are a little bit vicious in our house.
Also, I absolutely just tried to iron with a cold iron. It's okay. We're fine.
It's called
I
pressing.
mean, yeah. I'm sure that's a legit technique somewhere in the sewing world.
Right.
I mean, kind of if you're using like a tailor's press. I mean, the iron still needs to be hot, but use a tailor's press and that's cold.
See? Exactly.
Hot fabric.
You were tailor pressing it.
Fabric hot then, though?
So like tailor's press.
Yeah. But don't you like heat the fabric and then you put it in that?
Say again?
Don't you heat the fabric before you put it in that, though?
Oh yeah, I know, absolutely. Like you actually iron it and then you press this, which is cold and it's supposed to help set seams better.
Yeah.
Which it does
You were
actually.
setting the scene.
Yeah. People swear by that thing.
Yeah, no, honestly, I got it on a whim and I really like it. It's been really helpful for this garment.
Oh, yeah. I bet it's great for that. It's just, for quilting, it's another step that I'm just too lazy for. Not going to say it doesn't work. I'm just too lazy to do that extra step.
Oh, I don't think it'd be that helpful for quilting, to be honest. Unless you're doing like some really wild seaming. But otherwise, but I feel like if you just like spin the seams, that's probably the better solution anyway.
A lot of people hate spinning seams, though. I thought you hated spinning seams.
I do. I do. I just move on with life. But spinning seams isn't even an option in garments. So
Right.
like I think it lines up that way.
Okay.
All right. This star has just reaffirmed. So Friday night, I appliqued all the dinosaurs on the dinosaur baby quilt that I'm making. And I will admit that with all those curves and feet and spikes and everything, I was a little bit over it. But I just appliqued the little star on this one, and it's all straight lines instead of curvy lines. And I have renewed my adoration for applicating.
Yeah, the curvy lines definitely, like, there's really, oh my God, Sean, you've destroyed that house already. I literally just got the cats a new house 3 days ago, and already the roof and the front wall have come apart.
Nice.
And
I mean, his name is Chunk.
You know,
So
I'm blaming Chunk, but I bet it was her because she just comes in here and goes, "Ham."
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Also, I don't know if you can see this or not.
I swear she goes in here and her little brain just starts playing Prodigy. I am a fire starter, just like psycho.
But I super love that these are the same fabric. It's just one's gray and one's yellow. But otherwise,
I love that. I'm always happy when I can pull that move off.
I'm like, oh, it's so cute, and they match.
All right, so I am letting that dry for a moment. So I had to spritz it real hard to get that manufacturer's seam out. But let me, or crease. So I'm going to go ahead and do these other two. Oh, that is that big guy. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these other guys. I will bitch again about the fact that black is the letter P.
And not the letter K.
Right.
What? Why?
I don't know.
It should be K. That just makes sense. Everybody else uses K for black.
Yeah. Like, Kona, why you do?
You're not special.
Okay.
Well, they think they are.
The piece that I need for this is this little guy right here. Now, the big thing to know about this is that what you need to cut needs to be bigger and fully cover this piece right here. And then also that 1/4 inch seam allowance. But it does not need to be exact to this piece. It just needs to fully cover it. You want it to be shaped relatively similar to this, of course, but your goal when you are doing this foundation paper piecing is not to make this exact shape, but to make something bigger than this that is going to fully cover this. You will trim the excess off later. And again, that's part of why we cut these a little bit bigger, because it is so hard to actually match these up when you're stitching them, that if you make it bigger, it gives you that extra wiggle room. So for this piece, I'm just going to find a good place to match it up with what is already cut here. And actually that looks like a 90-degree right there. So I am...
No, the sticker.
I'm only peeling it slightly because I do actually need that sticker. But so this is the piece, like that does fit. And now basically all I've done here is I've eyeballed to make sure that this is well more than that 1/4 inch. And it is definitely more than that 1/4 inch. So I know that this is supposed to cut it. And then for this particular one, I'm not even going to use my straight edge. I'm just going to, and I mean, absolutely sometimes use a straight edge, but in this particular case, I'm actually just going to just cut alongside, and it's fine. And that gives me the piece that I need, plus just that little bit of extra. And fold that down so it doesn't get stuck to everything. And there we go. So that is my first piece. It's not going to be so critical with this one, of course, because it is a small section. There's only 3 pieces of fabric on it. But you do want to have your fabrics visually laid out in the way that they are all getting pieced together, because some of the pieces that you cut are not going to make sense. Once they are cut, you're going to look at them and they're not going to look anything close to the actual shape that they are being used for. It's not even because of this seam allowance thing. It's just like, or the like having excess and just assuming that you're going to cut it down more. It is just with the seam allowances and like the weird angles at the bottom. And there's all kinds of things. I've absolutely had pieces where they're a triangle that tapers hard in one direction, and the piece that I end up cutting is actually more narrow in the other direction. It's weird. It happens, but just make sure that you have your fabrics laid out the way that you are going to ultimately be piecing them, so you don't get yourself really confused, because this is really confusing. So that is the first piece here. And then I'm going to do this other little top triangle, which is the OK fabric, which is peacock. And this one is very much a equilateral triangle, so I don't have a good 90-degree angle anywhere. That is okay. I'm going to, oh gosh, I'm like falling off the the camera. Let me tilt. There we go. So I have, again, I've got it lined up to the bottom, and I've got just a little extra here because I'm missing that seam allowance. I am going to fold over here. And then in this case, I am going to use the straight edge because this is a cut that I don't have actual seam allowance on the paper for. So I am going to use the straight edge and just make sure that I'm cutting it generously enough.
So just full devil wildness.
Yes.
This is a real like trust the process sort of thing, which I don't feel like quilting is in general. And that's really unnerving to me.
Yes. Okay. So that is one cut on this, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side. This side, I do have that seam allowance already there. I'm just going to do a little zip a little bit further out. Okay. And then, again, just for good practices, I'm going to go ahead and set this up where it would be in the pattern. Now, for the fabric that is labeled, or for the piece that is labeled 1, if you cut this one last, you get the luxury of being able to glue stick it to the fabric. So that is where this is going to go. Last night, while I was working on this, I ran out of glue stick. So I'm doing that age-old trick of taking it apart and digging out a little bit of glue.
I had to do this yesterday with some crazy glue.
Yeah, and just smashing it on there. I actually have an order that's gonna arrive soonish from Walmart that has glue stick in it. I was hoping that it would have arrived before this point, but we are at Walmart's mercy. There we go. And then that piece sits there. And then just smash that down. And cut it out. Now, with this one, you do want to go ahead and have the seams that are actually going to have pieces stitched to them. You do want to have this guy set to that proper 1/4 inch since it's already stuck to the fabric. So I am going to cut down these 2 edges. Well, that was an awkward direction to cut in. Oh, Lord. Don't mind me. I'm just destroying my fabric over here. Okay, so I've got my 3 pieces that I need. This guy is going to go right here. I've got this abundance of fabric on the gray edges of it. And I've got the 2 actual seam edges to be measured out to that 1/4 inch. And so now I'm ready to start piecing this together. And of course, with this one, because of the way that it's laid out, it doesn't actually matter, but you want to go in the order that they tell you to go in. So I'm going to go ahead and attach 1 and 2. So when you are attaching these, this is going to be the most challenging part of it, is getting these pieces lined up. And of course, I am working with blue on blue, because why would our colors ever be easy to see on camera right now? There we go. That is visual. So that is 2 right there. And we have to get this to match up so that when we stitch it together and unfold it, it's going to completely cover this section. We did give ourselves that extra seam allowance to make sure that we do it, but even with that extra seam allowance, it can be tricky. So when you are doing this part of it, what you are going to do is you're going to line those seams up and then wiggle this fabric to make sure that it is fully covering this triangle that has been folded down. And again, I am using really large pieces right now, so like it would be hard to mess this up, but with smaller pieces, it is very easy to mess up. Once I have them lined up, now in our class, I don't even remember what her method was, but it was using a lot of brain space for this. This piece that is on top needs to go to the bottom. Yeah. And there's not like a clean way.
Like it was like there's flipping, right?
Yeah, there was a bunch of weird flipping that needed to be done with it. Where you like had it on the surface and then like I don't even remember.
I compensated by pinning a lot of things a lot of times and I would like make sure the pins pointed at the place I was sewing because I was easily confused. So if you like pinning and you're already in the habit of having your pins point at where you're going to put your needle in the machine to go, like maybe just apply that because that works for me. But if you don't needle pin, you know.
So what I use for this part is my short-term memory. So what I do is whichever side I need to look at to do this, I just take note in my brain of, and this is kind of that same technique when you're sewing weird pieces when you're doing traditional quilting. But I just take note of where these corners meet and how much of a little flappy do I have hanging over on both sides. And I just endeavor to match that when I actually pull the bottom piece.
Wait, no.
Out and put it then on top, or if it's the opposite direction, pull the top piece and put it on the bottom. But that's how I do this. I just use my brain to remember how they were matched up, and again, make sure that you don't actually flip that fabric over when you do it. Make sure that you pull it out and put it back on in the exact same direction that it was facing. It is super easy to mess that up. Look at those itty bitty baby pieces
that are
okay. So once this is set the way that you think it is supposed to go, you are going to hold this fabric side up. You are going to flip that over if you've got it creased. And you are actually just going to sew right on the paper, right over that crease line. So I have my quarter inch foot on. It really does not matter what foot you have on for this part, as long as it's going to be one where you can very clearly see if your pieces are, if you're stitching on the right spot or not. So my quarter foot happens to have this channel right here that is like the exact width of that line on the paper. And that is great for me to be able to supervise it and make sure that it is stitching correctly, that it is going over that line exactly. I am using 1.6 as my stitch length. You want these stitches to be as tiny as possible because it is going to perforate that fabric as it, or that paper as it stitches. And that's what we want, because at the end of this, we're going to be ripping that paper off. So I am just stitching that entire line. Okay. I don't backstitch like usual. I don't backstitch. I will say though, there are going to be sections where you cannot stitch into the seam allowance. I do backstitch if I can't stitch into the seam allowance. But that is the stitch. You see it? It just goes right over the line. And then on the back side, that's what I have here. And when I fold it open, you see that it fully covers that. But I will say that, like, even with trying to get it right, it was extremely close on this side. And that was not deliberate. I didn't want it to be that close on that side. That is just how, like, really nightmarish it is to try to get these pieces lined up the way that they're supposed to be, and why we cut them bigger. I gave myself this entire like 1/8 inch at least of wiggle space, and I just barely pulled it off. I am going to press this, and then I actually just realized that this piece I'm not going to be able to demo like what would happen after this. So I am just really quickly going to sew the other piece on, and then I'm going to do one other piece for you guys. I'll do one of the finickier pieces next. Okay, so that piece looks good. I'm gonna trim this up later because that is obvious how I would trim that up. So we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so let me find a good piece for demoing the slightly more complicated bits. Will this one actually work? Oh yeah. This one's actually really good for this. Perfect. Gosh, look at that awkward. Do you see that like crazy awkward sliver right there? It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to cut all of these pieces, and then we'll get going with this. This piece that I'm working on now is D7K. Oof, God almighty. Nope. Just putting it out there. If any of you guys have been thinking about taking up ambidexterity, now would be a great time for that.
Yeah, let me get right on that.
Thank God I can use my rotary tool in my left hand.
Again, this is why you're my favorite decorator trainer, because I won't train a left-handed decorator.
Right.
I mean, I can. I've done it. I hate having to pull the tables and like make a mirror.
Right.
When I've had to try to teach someone left-handed something, I'll just demonstrate, and then I'll be like, so look at what I'm doing. And then just do this with your body. What do you think? Let's just take a minute. Let's think about it. And then I just wait in silence while they like do stuff with their wrist, and then we see how it goes.
I mean, if you like pull like one of the tables out, Ashley, and stand on the opposite side of them, so you're facing each other,
that's smart,
and do it, it'll make more sense for them.
Yeah.
I got that from Alicia. I'm not original, but
we've got a lot of children. They need help. They don't know Zip.
Yeah, and like sometimes that works like 90% of the time. There is a 10% of the time where it's like, okay, your body just needs to move in a different way than my body is moving right now. But
I was training a really tall kid, and I was like, you have to come all the way down here to the table with me, or you have to like engage your core muscles, okay? Protect yourself from back.
I mean, if they're tall, they can just grab a bucket and put a turntable on a bucket.
You're smart.
Yeah, I do. I'm not even that tall, and I do that.
I mean, I do it when I'm making a cake, but I just had a piece of like wax paper out that I was like making them write on a piece of parchment.
Oh, yeah. So this fabric that I'm cutting right now is mango, and it is the, I think, second brightest fabric from that Blockheads block
So it's
creaminess that I've been working on.
mango autumngo.
Yes, and yes.
But it makes me happy seeing it. Like, I know this fabric.
What are you measuring?
Pocket.
Oh.
Hi, Mike.
Do you want your hand and your phone to fit on it?
Yeah, I was like, what's he
If you are doing one of their patterns with the fabrics that they come with, you do want to make sure that you keep your fabrics in order so that you can find them better. Just putting it out there. Oh, and then this one is Cantaloupe, which is also part of that set that I used. So also makes me happy.
I posted a picture to Sunday Side Projects of the 5 colors that are in the piece that I'm working with right now and how similar they all are. And they're all happening in an order where similar colors are all next to each other. And that's what I'll be dealing with when I get the bravery to sew some stuff to each other.
Good times.
Windsor and Prussian blue are so close. Like Windsor is just slightly more gray.
Oh, you have one that's Prussian blue?
Yeah,
That's like one of my favorite paint colors when I'm doing acrylics.
Yeah, the colors for these are so nice. I've had Windsor, Prussian, Pacific, Lapis, and Deep Blue in this section.
Those are fabulous colors.
Yeah, they are.
I like the names of the colors.
Me too. There's a color in here called Evening, and it's really pretty. Hi, Moogie. Moogie, welcome to Sunday Side Project, boy. Sweet man. Sweet man. Oh, he's so sick of this. Ha ha ha. Cat, I love you. He doesn't want any of this business. Let's scratch your chin and lift your face up, boy. Yeah. Bless you.
And then that color is lipstick, which is obnoxious. Oh.
You're looking raggedy, boy. Why are you raggedy? You need to clean? You need to bathe?
Oh. The sadness of picking up a coffee cup to drink and there is no coffee in it.
Oh,
Same when I encounter my empty can of Celsius every morning.
Yeah. Oh no.
Sip.
What have I done?
Alicia, can you say again to me how it is we start the first piece and get to the second piece? Ooh, who is this in Anne's life? Hi, person.
Oh, that's my hubby.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Very fluffy, but we're gonna fix that.
Throwing blades.
You know, I only made this here one time, like more than a decade ago, but I'm still not allowed to use scissors around his ears anymore.
Oh,
my mother used to cut my hair when I was younger, and she nipped my ear with a clipper, and she never cut my hair. And she never cut my hair after that.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
I have to use this little guy around the ears because I'm not allowed to use the scissors because I nipped him one time over a decade ago.
Such a big baby without it.
Here.
I'm on his side.
Chris is on your side. He supports your decision.
I've seen the Van Gogh self-portrait.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Quick. Let's go.
That's why we don't bother.
This is why it's taken me 2 weeks to get to his hair.
So I am back to this one here. So I am going to give it the
I'll be right back.
glue stick gloob treatment.
Bloop.
And Ashley, what was your question?
My question was, is it possible for you to demonstrate how to start the first and second piece and sew your first stitch when you get to a point?
Yeah, that's like exactly where I am right now.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna pay attention real good.
Yeah. So the big thing here is that glue stick gloob. So that glue stick gloob is basically the first step of attaching. The glue stick attaches piece 1 to the paper.
Oh, I was doing that with pinning. Okay.
Yep.
Snapping the pins to my wrist. Action ready, team.
Remember that the seams are between the fabric and the paper. So that glue stick gloob is also between the fabric and the paper.
Okay.
So like you shouldn't have to worry about staining anyway, but if you do worry about staining, you don't have to because it's on the back side of the fabric.
Okay.
And again, I have this set right now so that I've got plenty of seam allowance space to it. But I am going to cut. This piece is entirely interior.
Okay.
So I am going to cut this entire piece to the exact size that it needs to be.
Is that this, Alicia? Is that this?
It is. This is D7K.
Yeah. So that's this. That's this triangle.
Yes, it looks that way. Oh yeah, because it's just got that sliver of blue on it. Oh, and then that is the pieces laid out. These guys right here are them laid out in the order that they're going to go in. Again, because some of these, like that blue strip ended up being basically the exact same width. Like it ended up being more of a rectangle than a triangle. So that's that weirdness where the shapes don't actually match up the way that they're supposed to.
Yes.
The glue stick at this point before it's actually cut is really nice because it does keep it from moving, which is a bit of a problem when you are trying to lay the ruler over the paper.
Yeah.
So if like even when working with the regular pieces, if you are struggling a lot with the trying to get the ruler on top of the paper, go ahead and just put a little glue of glue stick on everything and just peel it off. It won't, it won't affect anything in the long run. Don't use a lot of glue stick. I went pretty heavy with this little guy just because I knew it was going to need to live here for a while. If you're just using it to hold it down while you cut these, then I wouldn't use so much.
Alicia, where did you get this glue stick tip?
Oh, so this guy. Okay, so I'm not 100% on board with it yet.
No, I mean, where did you learn about doing glue stick with this? Because I don't remember this from the class.
Oh, got it. I thought you meant literally the glue stick tip, the
No.
tip that's on my glue stick thing. This might not have been from class.
Okay.
I did watch a video the other day. And it mentioned glue sticking. And I feel like I just hear glue sticking a lot in reference to paper piecing.
Okay. And then
like,
the orientation of the fabric to the paper. You have the fabric against the wrong side of the paper and the right side of the paper facing up.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Because remember that all of your stitching is going to happen here. Like you're going to be looking at the actual paper to do the stitching. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be attaching your fabric to the back side of the paper.
Okay. All right. I'm going to, hold on.
No, it's totally fine. That's why I was doing this a second time.
What I'm doing. I have my fabric behind my paper, and then I have pins that point at the line I'm going to stitch on.
Yeah, I would just glue stick that.
I don't have a glue stick, but I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Then I would get a glue stick and then glue stick. You should have a glue stick just part of quilting anyways.
Okay. I mean, maybe I'm still more careless devil than I thought I was.
glue
I
stick.
I have glue sticks, but like that's from like honestly makeup stuff I've done. But like they still exist, and I will use them for quilting.
Yeah.
I have like tape
I
runners
have
for
glue
scrapbooking.
stick as like leftover school supplies from my kids.
Yeah, whatever.
Alicia, get in the comments with glue stick suggestions from your expertises, please.
I like glue stick. So like the last time I used glue stick on a project was making those bags because it's a good way to attach batting in like small areas.
Cool.
Like it's like a basing spray, but like cheating and going lighter. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good for that. It's good for basing really small projects. Well, where else do I use it? I don't know. I use it a bunch. I don't use it so much in like traditional quilts, but like I use it in quilt adjacent projects constantly, like this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, this is like, it's not a good start, but it's a start. Like fabric is on the back, the words are facing up. I personally know which seam I'm going to sew because the pins are pointing at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then after the first one, you won't need to do that anymore.
Okay.
Yep. But so now
step 2.
I've got this fabric perfectly cut out to the shape that it needs to be.
Okay.
And it does match it on all sides. It's just there's not a really good way of showing. Well, I guess if I flip it this way, you can see that I got 1/4 inch seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Okay.
1/4 inch seam allowance, just because it is that middle piece, so it's got to be on all sides.
Yeah.
And then this piece is going to be
your 2.
In my actual layout, it is this guy right here. So number 2 is this red fabric. Okay, so this is going to be the first time where I demo this one issue that you do have to be super aware of. And that is if in the 1/4 inch seam allowance on the side, if you see 2 lines overlap like these two do, I've got these 2 that are crossing right here.
Yeah.
You can't stitch over each other here.
No?
So when they do this overlap, if you do, then you have to actually rip the fabric when you go to put the next piece on.
Maybe this is part of my problem.
I'll show you this in a minute. I'll go ahead and do this the wrong way, so to speak.
No, don't. I did follow the lines, and maybe that's why I had so many problems.
Yeah, no. I'll do it the wrong way on this one, and then I'll do it the right way on another one. It's just I'll just have to rip the fabric. It's not like it's breaking the world doing it, but so I've got it facing up now.
Okay.
The fabric is on the back side. The paper is sticking up. I need to get piece number 2. Piece number 2 is this guy.
Okay.
So I'm going to fold the fabric or fold the paper over, which means I'm also going to flip that over.
Because now it's reversed.
Yep. And now I'm going to match it up to the seam on the first piece.
Fuck ass. I remember now. Piece of shit.
And I am going to ensure that in this position that, it's just to hold it down. I'm going to ensure in this position that the entire piece that is underneath here is fully covered by that. This is way off in like the no man's land of the seam allowance, so I'm not worried about this. This fabric doesn't actually stretch all the way over this far. Okay. I knew when I cut it that I was cutting it slightly short, but it's so far away from where this piece of fabric actually ends that it's not an issue. That again, that'll make sense in just a moment. So I've got it fully covered, and this side I'm a little bit more worried about. I do have a decent amount of coverage there. I've probably got about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to shimmy this just slightly to get a little bit more. And then we see here that I can actually do a measurement if I want to be super neurotic about this. On this end of that cantaloupe fabric, I've got about 1/4 inch hanging out right there. So I'm going to leave the red where it is, pull the rest of the fabric out, and then lay it back on top.
What the fuck? Wait. Whoa.
Do I need to demonstrate that again?
Okay. I think I got it. I have done it. So I have the 2 pieces of fabric I'm going to sew together, properly positioned for each little separate section, but they're stacked now.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you guys see that I've got that 1/4 inch seam allowance there. And then on this side, I would, of course, normally eyeball both sides, but on this side, I do have, if I line this up right, I do have about 1/4 inch of a flap right there. So I feel good that I have lined things up properly.
Okay, so my blues are so the same, but this is what I did for mine. I have the first piece is lined up directly against the paper, and then I followed Alicia really closely, making sure everything had allowances and that the fabric was oriented correctly. And then I reversed its position basically onto the first piece. I repositioned the pins to hold both pieces of fabric together with the paper. Oh, wow, okay.
Perfect. And then now when you fold that paper down, you do have that 1/4 inch seam allowance on both fabrics, correct?
Oh my God, I've got a honking generous, crazy amount of allowance.
No, I mean where you're going to be stitching it on that actual stitch line.
Yeah.
That is, okay.
So much.
Okay. You do want that to be like 1/4 of an inch because you're going to end up with a whole bunch of bulk there otherwise.
Well, I have a lot of PTSD about this flamingo, so I'm willing to like trim it after I've seen this.
Remember that some of them you're not going to be able to because that seam is going to be completely covered. Oh, you know what? You can trim it
next
after you've already stitched it and you confirm that it's the right size. Yes. Perfect. Okay.
And then I put it in the right place because I wrote in the chat while I was muted because you have to use a super small stitch length. I messed up multiple times and had to try to stitch rip stitches that were almost smaller than the tip of my finger, and I wanted to die. So
yeah. Okay, so I am stitching this now. And again, just to do that demo, I'm going to stitch it correctly on one side because I'm seeing how long that seam is. And I'm like, I'm not ripping all of that.
What stitch length are you using, please?
I personally am using 1.6.
Okay. 2.4, so we're going to change that.
Yep. So on one side, I am stitching it where I need to. That is not going into the seam allowance. So on this side, I am going to drop a reverse stitch. And then I am going to stitch the entire length. And then I did go all the way through the seam allowance on the other side so that I can demo that issue that happens.
I sewed it. Yes.
Ooh. Okay. So that is all stitched. We are good. Now I'm going to go ahead and press this. I'll be right back.
I am trimming mine to 1/4 inch now that I've correctly done the right thing. It's beautiful. Two things together. I probably need my iron, don't I? I have another iron.
Okay. So that is 1 and 2, the finished. So next I'm going to do piece 3, which is this guy right here.
Ah,
Are you okay?
I'm clipping a pocket in place because I'm not gonna make a garment without a pocket. And like I just go to pinch a clip and it shattered.
Aww.
Just shattered clip. Like not even kind of broken. It is in complete pieces.
Wow.
I have no idea.
It's shitty Chinese plastic. It is what it is.
I think I've just used them too much lately.
I mean, it could also be that. Okay, so this is where I can demonstrate the issue that is what happens if you stitch too far when these guys intersect. So I have stitched all the way through to the edge here. And now I need to attach piece 3. And of course, when we're doing this, what we need to do is flip the fabric over, hold it on that seam, and then line the actual piece 3 up. Well, when we go to do this, we can't because that stitch is holding the fabric to the paper where we actually need to be folding it. So right here, I can't do the fold that I need to do. There's no way for me to stitch this when it's attached like that. Look at that cat butt.
Woo! Premium
Yeah.
kitty booty. I love it.
So if you do accidentally do this where you stitch too far and therefore you can't attach the next piece properly, it's not a complete disaster. You just have to rip your fabric a little bit sooner than you wanted to. You just want to be real careful about it that you don't rip it too far or like actually, damage the fabric. But so that is what you need to do if you accidentally stitch over that. Now, in this one, it's not like the greatest tragedy ever to do this because it was just that like single jam right there. But like sometimes you have pieces like this where there's 3 of them meeting at that spot. And I think I've got, let me see, I feel like I've got an even worse one somewhere in my pile.
I have many worse ones, I'm sure.
They are all 3s, but like all of these have like 3 coming together. And that is just like a hot mess express. And you end up like turning your paper into mulch if you try to like rip all of those stitches, rip the paper out on those stitches. So that is where you got to be careful. Now, and actually this guy right here has 4 of them coming together on the bottom. We absolutely do not want the mess that will cause. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this piece 3. And then once I get 3 attached, I'm going to be able to demo better the how you like do piece after piece after piece and get them all connected and what's going to happen with your seams and all of that. Okay, so that is where that lines up. So I'm going to fold it down. Make sure everything is fully covered. See where everything meets. Got about the same distance on both sides. Flip it over. Line it up. Unflip the fabric. Stitch over the fabric. Okay.
I'm going to attempt to stitch the third piece to the second piece.
Nice. And I am going to press this, and then I'll be able to demonstrate kind of the next stage of this that I haven't gotten to yet, because all of my pieces that I've been sewing have been edge pieces. And this is my first middle piece. Okay. So middle piece is attached. Now, if you look at this, when I fold the fabric over, I've got the seam here fully exposed. Now this actually looks really good, but sometimes this is going to be not even close to that 1/4 inch. So whenever you do this part of the fold, you've already gotten, I've attached piece 3. I'm now seeing how it lines up with the paper, and I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. If this does come up a little short on that 1/4 inch because, you know, you didn't line things up quite right, as long as it's more than like 1/8 of an inch, you should be okay. If it is less than 1/8 of an inch, you got to pull some seams. And as Ashley just said, it is a nightmare with these little tiny seams. So try not to do that.
Try not to do what I just did.
Good tip. Just what if you're gonna do that? Just don't.
Just don't.
No, just don't.
Do it
Just
right the
don't.
first time. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Do not make a mistake.
Don't
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Do everything you can to not be dumb. Okay, so I've got piece 4 here now. Gonna do the regular flip as we've been doing. Or match up. Going through all these steps.
Alicia, I feel like the teacher maybe had like a little light box of her own that she used to line up the fabrics with the paper from the, like, looking at it correctly, but because of the light box, she could see through it all.
Yes, and that's like buying a whole ass light box.
Yeah, I'm trying to use glass, and I do have a light under it that just lives there. So I feel like once I don't have a good workflow because I have my ironing board on top of my desk. Otherwise, I could be light boxing this situation.
You could.
Oh, you know what? You can get a light box for $13.99 on Amazon.
How big are they?
A4 size.
That's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. It's the A4 ultra thin portable LED light box tracer, USB power, LED art craft tracing light pad light box for artist drawing, sketching, animation. But like, could be quilt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it in the chat. I don't know if anybody seriously like loves this and wants to have an easier time and do less brain origami, like maybe.
Right. Okay, so this is one of those, like, I don't know, this is one of those things where, like, when I was initially doing it, I was like, this doesn't make any sense because there's, like, it's so narrow here that, like, the seam allowance seems like it's going to create a hot mess. So there are going to be moments where you've got all of these things coming together, and these pieces are so goddamn tiny that they're actually smaller than a 1/4 inch, and it seems like insanity is going to happen. So first of all, insanity does happen. But second of all, once you got that piece down, it does not matter when you fold it back. It does not matter what kind of insanity is happening right here. You've got all of this fabric bunched up. It does not matter one bit. It's just going to live there all bunched up, and it doesn't matter. All we do is we cut to that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we move on with our lives. We don't care that in this 1/4 inch, there's like 74 layers of fabric right there. Doesn't matter. It's all fine. It's all going to kind of like trap itself down in there. So it's okay. It's no big deal. It's no big deal that sometimes you have pieces that are literally like this baby small. Do you see how fucking small this piece is? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that there's going to be like 17 layers of fabric living behind it because of seam allowances.
Yeah.
It's okay. So that was that piece. And now I've actually got this bottom, this Gigantor blue piece here.
Y'all, I think I'm back. I think I get it now.
Yay. Okay. So this is just this like gigantic honking piece. And as I mentioned before, sometimes when they trail off into nowhere like this, it just doesn't matter. So like this piece, the line for where it goes into the seam allowance ends way the fuck over here. But the last actual visible part of this fabric is here. So we don't have to stress so much about lining up on this side, right? Because this is insane. All of this is just like extra fabric right here. So I'm just folding that, and I'm going to worry about matching this side. That tail's not going to do anything. I'm going to flip it over like always. Handle it, of course, the exact same way that you handle everything else.
With tears?
With tears, yes. And then stitch it. Oh. I'm now in the habit of dropping a reverse stitch, so I need to break myself of that very quickly, but that is okay.
Backwards, and I don't care.
Here's how it's going for me. I just have one more color left.
Very nice.
On my little this.
Okay. And of course, I did absolutely come out a little bit short up on the top end, but it's okay because it's that real tapered point. So it's okay that it's not fully covering it. So if we see here, I did not line this up properly. So I've got this whole bunch of extra tail here. That tail, however, is like this whole honking piece right here. So I'm not worried about that little bit getting clipped off. It's okay. The other thing is that I will go ahead and clip off that little flappy bit that just doesn't attach to anything. So just for my own sanity, I'm going to happily remove that.
Get removed.
Yep. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach the last piece. and then trim this up. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and demo actually attaching a couple of these bigger units together. And then we will be done here. How's our time? What time is it?
Past
11.
Oh, okay. So we are about there. Perfect.
Yeah, you've got about a half hour of my time.
Okay, perfect. Oh, so I did not trim off this bit yet. Let me get that guy really quickly. Oh, and hilariously, this is actually back to piece 1 is the primary right here.
Oh my God, I think I did it, you guys. On the very first and easiest piece, I'm feeling good.
You know, it had
That's where you start.
but also it did have like 4 units.
5.
They had 5 units. They did all have to like be pieced together in like a chain like that. I think you're okay. Well, also, if it is the very last one and one of these big clusters of where everything is coming together at a single point, you can go ahead and like stitch right through on this one. You're not going to have any more folding to do. It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
Alicia, when is it safe to trim to the gray point?
That's exactly what I'm doing next.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Okay. So that unit is completely stitched together. And now, like Ashley said, this is the moment where we can actually stitch it fully or trim it fully into the gray part of it. This one was one of the ones that I cut from the first page where I wasn't thinking, and it was already trimmed it all down to the gray. But like, here's whether the paper is already trimmed to the gray or not. Now is when you are going to trim it to the gray.
To the gray.
If you do have some parts of this where you got like a very large piece of fabric that is loose like this, feel free to put a little bit of a glue stick there just to keep it from getting real flappy on you while you're working everything out.
Yeah, and it looks like I funked up, but that little white space that's not covered is in the seam allowance. So I'm gonna say it's done, and I don't care about that. Otherwise, it's done.
YOLO. Oh, and just to be clear, I am absolutely using a ruler that is 12 inches, and I would absolutely not want a ruler that is any longer than this. Yeah, and it has the 1/4 inch lines marked on it, and that is happy to me. That is exactly what I want for add a 1/4. But that's it. That is the completed unit. You see that this was a pretty fancy one. It's bigger, so it was easier because of the size, but it was a fairly complex one. I am dropping that little bit of glue stick here. That'll just make me feel better for when I'm attaching it to other stuff. But that guy just gets to live in a corner for now. Okay, so did I give you guys this one? There is going to be a page. Did I give you guys this page, Anne? Okay, perfect. So this page is actually going to tell you the order that you're going to go in for assembling all of these little guys. They do all have their letter codes on them, And my first step here is going to be to attach D7A and D7B, which was this one that I have already jury read. And that is okay. I got a little bit of one of those dog ears to trim off, but that is okay. Okay. So you are going to match them up the way that it is shown on the diagram. And of course, the diagram is not to scale, but that is D7B. That is that guy. And then D7A is that guy. And now this is a time when you absolutely want to line up two pieces with some pins. Now I'm trying to figure out, I feel like there's got to be a better way of doing this, and I just don't know what it is. If you guys have anything similar to a pin that is as narrow as a pin and as sharp as a pin, but has an extremely short shank on it, I would absolutely use something like that, because you want them, you're going to be using them to match up these corners. So I'm going to stick a pin through this corner to get it to go through that corner. And then I'm going to do the same here to here. And of course, there is always that little bit of wiggle because of how long pins are, but I can't figure out something else that would be comparable to this other than like a tack. But tacks are usually
Not a
really wide.
Yeah.
And they'll actually put like holes in fabric. But you see that I have stuck these pins in there. I'm going to go ahead and push them all the way through. And then match up. It's going to go there. So flip that onto its back. Push through and just kind of do that, you know, when you're sewing and you got to push through a couple of times to actually hit that point. I have hit that point there. And on this side, I actually have a seam that's going, I have two pieces that are meeting at this corner, so I can match up that one a little bit better. I say that and then I fight a whole bunch with it, but there we go. So I've got the pins fully through both fabrics so that they are as lined up as I can possibly get them. You can kind of see that the pins are going through, but that's it. And then these pins are not actually going to live here. They're just to get those two pieces to line up. I will use clips to hold it together so that I can actually stitch this without, you know, total disaster happening. Okay, so I've got two clips in, holding them in place. I'm going to remove these two pins. Stitching on the line just the same as we stitched on the line for the individual pieces. I don't know if you guys can hear how much fabric I just went through the machine. The machine was definitely like, ooh, well, that was thick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I now have D7A and D7B attached. That is what they look like on the finished side. So I got a bit of, I don't know, what part is this? What am I looking at right now? I'm so confused about this.
I think
Oh,
it's
That's his under neck up by
Oh, yes, thank
way
you.
up there.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay. It's like, why is this so dark? I forgot under neck. Yep. Okay. So, and like right here, it is so thick, y'all. It is so thick at this point, but that's
thick as
okay.
hell. 3 C's.
So that was step one, was attach D7A to D7B. And then step two is sew D7AB, which is this guy, to D7C, which is just that little corner right here. That's that guy.
Would you rather die or?
This one's going to be a little funny on my end because, again, I separated D7B into two smaller units, but that's okay. And then my thing just pressed in a bad direction. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do the exact same thing here, though. But I feel like at this point, everything is pretty clear about what's going on. So I feel like this is the moment where I say, do you guys have questions, comments, concerns?
I have to go to my own place.
No, thank you for this. I'm glad that I was free for this, and like I splurged on getting this kit, which is going to be complicated as hell. But like reviving a little bit of my knowledge about this technique feels good, and I like spending time with y'all today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming to Sunday Side Project.
Yes,
I'm
this
glad
was
I
delightful.
strong
I look forward to doing this project at some point.
I look forward to catching up on all of my side projects.
Yeah. That's my thing, is like all the side projects having to catch up on. Like I'm just like, at least the only thing I'm caught up on is Block of the Month.
Which I am
But-
not caught up on. And we have that meeting in a couple of days, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I'm caught up. Ooh.
I actually marked out the next, well, pretty much all the rest of the blocks, because it's like all the strips. Like I marked out what all I need to cut for the next 3, which is pretty much all that's left, because then it's done.
Yeah, because it's
And
the 4 stars and then all the Irish chain and the 9 patches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it's just all that bottom stuff now. That's just a bunch of.
Yeah, we just got to do the stars this Wednesday, and then it'll be all the bottom stuff. And there's 4 blocks that are identical. They're just rotated funny, just like the log cabins were.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a whole bunch of strips that you cut into the 4x4s, and then some half square triangles, and then it's just the 2 bottom corner pieces after that.
Perfect. Love
So-
that. Oh, yeah, I'm now looking at that thing. And, oh, yeah, I guess there are HSTs in that, isn't there? That's okay.
There's HSTs and the 4x4s, and then, well, and I laughed because I don't think I realized when we started how many flying geese are in this thing, because this week says flying geese in it too.
Yeah.
She's like obsessed with flying geese, which, I mean, I don't mean I like them too, but
Cool. Yeah.
there's a lot of them.
Okay, so then my next question for next month's Sunday Side Project. Do we want to make it a continuation of this, where we theoretically have actual like chunks of it together and we can Q&A where we are at it, or do we feel like we have done enough FPP and we should get to pattern design or something else entirely, of course?
I want to do Anne's gnomes, even though I have this and shouldn't start another project. I'm just interested in Anne's.
God, I feel that on such a deep level.
They
I
look
can't
really
have enough
easy.
projects.
They look really easy. And also, I
They
can't
do.
even be here, so I know my opinion doesn't really matter.
I mean, I feel like my suggestion is probably the lamest, if most practical of suggestions for me, which is it should be a Sunday side project catch up. But that's just me.
I love that, because
That's
I still haven't finished my bag.
Oh yeah, then we should absolutely do that. And I will say that I've got my One Black Wonder just kind of
Me too.
like
They're taunting me because I'm trying to get these baby blankets done.
I'm gonna mess everything up. So like I've got where I am with this is that like this whole section is all completely stitched together and done. But then these strips
It looks so good.
So these strips all have these little like full units on here, which are hexies. And I'm still in that. Am I going to hand stitch those hexies or am I going to attempt to machine stitch a Y seam or what? And I wanted to have already established that by now, but then I wrote a best-selling novel.
Yeah.
Very brief window of about 2 hours in the BDSM erotica category, but that kind of tailspinned my entire month. So I'm also a little bit behind on Sunday Side Project, and I am fully down with the next month being a catch-up for that guy and for the bag and for I really do strongly urge Anne and Chris to have done a little bit of foundation paper piecing so we can actually discuss. Because like hearing it and doing it, I realize this is like the rule for everything, but so much more so with this. Between hearing it and doing it, the world is a completely different place.
I can absolutely tell that I'm going to need to, but I'm not going to lie. I may actually start with the gnomes because they look a lot easier just so that I can like wrap my head around it before I dive into the flamingo because that flamingo is going to totally get framed and like hung on my wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, from like coming from the perspective of I can be me now, but not that angle. My God. So, having done that, like one random unit where, that we did in that class, that was like super easy. And it was just like 5 strips put together in a very comfortable triangular way. Going from that to this guy, yes, I fully endorse doing something much simpler as like a trial run before going into this guy.
There's still a lot of paper trapped in my guy.
What was that?
There's still a lot of paper trapped in my guy.
Oh, I mean, I feel like that's part of life is that there's going to be a little bit of paper still trapped in it. That like, kind of like washes out eventually if you're actually washing it. Or it just lives in it forever because you hung it on a wall. And what difference does it make if there's a little bit of paper trapped in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like it just kind of becomes part of it and it's not something to worry about. It kind of washes out and sifts through the seams over time or whatever. So we will mark next month's Sunday Side Project as the catch-uppening.
The catch-uppening.
Let me actually look at
excellent suggestion, Chris.
That's just how I feel. I do have like a week off. I have a week off after 4th of July. That honestly is just going to be dedicated to quilting. So hopefully I will be in a better place when we get to Side Project Sunday. Maybe I'll touch foundation paper piecing.
Yeah.
But I have so much to catch up on.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what's I think that's what's overwhelming me is that like I really want to use the long arms, but we need the lady that we bought them from to come back out and make sure because I don't think we have them put together quite right and it's not going well. So we need like a little tutorial on them again from the lady that we bought them from.
Yeah.
So but then I'm like, I feel like I could knock these baby quilts out in no time flat on that big old long arm.
Yeah.
Have you tried looking up like a YouTube video on like how to assemble them correctly?
We have, and we did. I think we did originally have it put together, but Laura was having a hard time with the tension, and so she like kind of took it apart with her quilt on it. And so now I think we need to like reset it. But I did buy. This is one of the things you guys. I know you were picking on me about buying all of those pattern thingies. This is fundamentals for freehand long arm quilting. Like she looked through this and said it's one of the best dollars I have ever spent because it was $8. But it literally goes through, and even if it's not the right machine, like it talks about the tension and all of the mechanics are accurate for like making sure your tension is right, and then different stitching. Like it's like a manual for long arm quilting.
That's so cool.
Well, that's cool.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty, and it gives you patterns to try.
Ooh, fire.
Yeah, actually, even the one machine one that I bought, this one is super duper cool because it gives you, like, this is all samples and it's super hard to see on here, but they literally draw diagrams with, like, which way to move your machine
That's cool.
to make the pattern. And it's got like 50 different designs on here. This is like little stars, but it shows you a picture of what it looks like, which it's way too dark. You probably can't even see that. But then on the back side, it tells you how to make that pattern.
Oh, cool.
So I think it has like 15 different ones in there. So this one was also a very, very good spending of $1.
Excellent.
But the quilting is what I'm stressed about right now.
No, that's fair. So our next session is slated for Sunday the 16th. That there's nothing crazy going on in July for me except that I have to write another novel.
Bestseller #2 coming up.
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo. I actually have a book coming out on the 1st that I need to have uploaded on Tuesday, and I'm still in the middle of doing the last reading pass.
I thought you were swapping it out for the job.
Like today.
Oh.
I still have like 2/3 of the book to read. So that is how I'm going to be spending the rest of my day. Yeah, I think
I'm gonna go see Sarah. We're gonna hang out at Sarah's house.
Oh yay! I'm jelly.
Don't be jealous.
I'm gonna go to work. So
Oh, Chris, no.
Ashley, do you guys have a plan for what you are going to do? Oh my God, this is so thick. This is oh gosh, I'm facing the wrong way. Let me. Sorry, I'm confused about how my camera works. Oh Lord, there we go.
Is that why they have the KY involved in the pattern?
Right? There's so much fabric jammed in right here.
It looks so good. I feel so at peace when I see yours compared to when I see mine.
I feel so stressed with the like tangible thickness of this now. Anyways,
It looks better when you take the paper off.
Ashley, do you guys have a plan for what you are doing over at Sarah's?
I'm gonna meet her cats, and then we might go to downtown Roswell, or maybe convince her husband to play a game with us. I'm gonna bring my D&D binder that I've been like scrapbook crafting this week to show off. But otherwise, we're gonna hang out and see what's good in Sarah's part of North Atlanta.
You should very subtly like leave it in your car, but like bring a couple of board games with you.
Oh no, I'm gonna bring them in a bag and just have them with me.
Oh, okay. Fully, as long as you were prepared for that, because she's like, I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow, and I was like, there's no farmers market, so I don't know what you're gonna do either. Sarah doesn't have a whole lot of like board games at her place.
I was thinking I would bring the moon one. What is it called? No, you got to build ladders to the moon.
Yeah.
Ladders fall down, the moon cries. That was good. That's like a dexterity game. And then I figured I would bring like a couple of skill games for like 4 people or less, so like made for a small group.
Okay.
See how that goes.
Concentrating on you.
All right. Well, then, on that note, I think we are all done here. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I'm excited. I'm glad I was here for this. This was nice.
Yeah, this
Okay.
was awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna
yeah.
go buy a snake.
And hopefully, with this, we'll all be getting ready for.
Did someone put an A in
design.
school? They deserve a snake?
Two of my kids want one. And the rest of us are like, ew.
Do they know about
Charge of
like,
feeding the snake.
feeding?
Feeding
The-
the snake. The snake's gonna eat alive things, right?
And the two who are wanting
My-
this have actually live fed a snake before.
My bookends, my eldest and my youngest.
And have they actually live fed a snake before?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have two, to be honest.
Okay. No, I was just making sure that this wasn't going to be a situation where like they want it and then you get stuck having to do the live feeding because it turns out that they can't hack it.
No, this is something they can hack because I'm not going to because it's such a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snakes are cool. They're cool.
It's
Okay. So make sure she is aware that two of us are vegetarians in this group.
We'll feed them lettuce. It's fine.
My stress point is the live feeding. I have lived with a snake before. I'm fine with snakes, but I wouldn't be able to do the live feeding thing because of me being myself. But that's it. Otherwise, I'm actually totally fine with snakes. I used to have iguanas. I'm down with lizards, but
Not my jam.
iguanas love pumpkin. The best thing with iguanas is when it's Halloween season and you feed them pumpkin guts and they all like hang out of their mouths and they've got these adorable orange beards.
That's awesome. That sounds spectacular.
They got the orange beards, and then of course they have mohawks, just because like iguanas have mohawks, they just do, and so they're like very badass, but it's like a vegetarian eating pumpkin.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I am gonna let you guys go. Goodbye, Iron.
And,
Bye, Anne.
end broadcast.
Bye. End the live.
Bye. I can't find that button because I'm on the wrong screen. Bye.